welcome back to Book Talk with Meg. My name is Megan for those of you who don't know. Hi, welcome, hope you stick around. If you decide to, do not forget to click the subscribe button down below. It'll notify you when I upload new videos. Today's video is my October book haul. I never planned for it to be this big, but apparently your girl did some damage, so you might want to grab a cup of tea, some snacks, and I'll just jump on in, no particular order. Let's do this. The first book I have on my pile is Down Among the Sticks and Bones by Shanann McGuire. This is kind of like a companion novel to Every Heart a Doorway. This book follows Jack and Jill, two young girls who find their door, and we follow their story because basically the entire concept behind this is that some youth, like children, will find doors to magical fantasy lands, and they kind of go and some of them come back home, and we basically followed how Jack and Jill grew up, the reason for them going through this door, and we follow them until they grow up, and that's pretty much it. You don't need to have read Every Heart a Doorway to read this one, but I feel like you get to know Jack and Jill and Every Heart a Doorway as well, so it might be a little more easy to follow along this book. I read it, I will mention it in my October wrap-up, but I really enjoyed this one. Book you will have seen if you've watched my October unboxing for Owl Crate, and that is Wild Beauty by Anne-Marie McLemore, and this book I don't know much about. I know it kind of sounds whimsical, the cover is beautiful, and I think it has to do with a land where it's just girls and then this boy appears or something of the sorts. I'm not too sure, but I was super interested in this book and I'm very happy I have it in my hands. The next book I have is Winter Song by S.J. Jones. This book follows our main character who as a child was always kind of fascinated with goblins and the Goblin King and music, and she grows up to help her parents in, and she kind of feels as though all her childhood dreams are kind of fading away until one day her sister gets kidnapped by the Goblin King, and our main character kind of goes on to an adventure in the underworld and tries to save her sister, I believe. I'm not sure how this book turns out, but I've heard good things. I found it on Book Outlet for cheap. I was super curious because I really enjoy stories that are like mythical and goblins. I feel we don't see a lot, so I picked it up. The next book I have is Dreamology by Lucy Keeling. This book I have been wanting for a really long time. I'm much of a contemporary reader, and every time I've wanted this book on Book Outlet, it was sold out before I could check out. This book follows our young girl who is named Alice, and Alice has always dreamed of this boy named Max, and I don't know if in her dreams she kind of has a relationship with it, but one day she realizes that Max is not actually a dream and that he is existing, and I believe he shows up in one of her classes, so it's about dealing with that and the relationship that forms. So I was super intrigued by this. The cover is also gorgeous, and I've heard a lot of good things about Dreamology, so again, picked it up for super cheap. The next book I have is A Study in Charlotte by Brittany Calavero. This is basically a Sherlock Holmes retelling, but much differently with, I think it's like the grandkids or something of the sorts of Watson and Holmes. And the reason I picked this up, one, I really like everything that is kind of detective-like, and I've really been in the mood for anything like that. I've been watching Bones, reading a bunch of books that are kind of like a mystery, putting together a puzzle, and I've heard good things, mixed things, but I want to form my opinion on this and see if I want to continue on with this series because there is more than one book out presently. Next book I also got from Book Outlet, and that is Something in Between by Melissa De La Cruz, and from what I understand from this book, we follow our main character who is extremely good at school, and she is basically getting a scholarship to be able to attend college, and she goes to share this great news with her parents until they tell her that they are illegal immigrants because their visas, I believe, have expired, and it's dealing with that. I feel like she might meet a young boy. All I know and care for is the immigration kind of thing in the story because I feel like I don't read a lot on immigration, which might sound stupid, but it's something that very much interests me, and I can't wait to see the way the author takes this. Plus, Melissa De La Cruz is one of my favorite authors, and I'm just very excited for this. Again, got it for super cheap, so I'm happy. The next book I got, I was not necessarily planning on getting now, but that is Wayfarer by Alexandra Bracken. This book, This book is the second book in the duology Passenger. I have not read Passenger yet, but I know it has something to do with music and time travel, and this book was like $5 for a hardcover, and the only damage I can see is like a little dent here on Book Outlet. So I picked it up, and I'm very intrigued by this series, and I want to get to it as soon as possible, so I figured if I read and enjoy Passenger, I can exactly move on to Wayfarer and complete the duology instead of letting it linger. Any excuse is good to buy a book, in my opinion. Again, with the book that I got because it was super cheap, and that is Wind Witch by Susan Dennard. This is the sequel to Truthwitch. And again, I have not read Truthwitch. All I know is like witches have different powers. Let's say a Truthwitch knows when you're lying, and a Wind Witch, I have no idea, but a lot of people have been praising this series, and I know it's something I'm going to enjoy, so I picked up the hardcover, and I'm going to end up reading it someday. If not, it's just a pretty cover on my shelf for now. Another sequel I have not read the first book to, but I still bought, and that is Dazzling Heights by Katharine McGee. This is the sequel to 1,000 Floors. Is that the name? The 1,000th Floor. And basically, the 1,000th Floor is kind of like this huge building in New York City. It is very futuristic, and I think the higher you are, the higher your status, and it is compared to like a Gossip Girl, and I really enjoy that. So I was happy, and I found this book on Amazon for like super cheap, and it was just released. So I picked it up, and I think I'm going to read maybe at least the first one in November. You guys can see in my November TBR that will be coming up soon. I think this is a common theme for this haul, another book I have not started the series, but it is A Conjuring of Light by V.E. Schwab. This is the third and final book in the series A Darker Shade of Magic, and I think this has to do with like different Londons, and the reason I picked this up, one, because it was $8 instead of $36 Canadian, which I'm never going to pay for a book in my life. This is huge, but it's still not worth it. If it's not Harry Potter, I'm not gonna pay the price. But Reagan on Peruse Project was reading this book in like a vlog style video she did, and she praised this series immensely. So I decided to pick it up, and I'm reading the first one ASAP because this has gotten me super curious about this series. The next book I have, you're probably gonna hear me talk a lot about because I read Stalking Jack the Ripper in October. Again, will be in my wrap-up video. But I had to get my hands on Hunting Prince Dracula. I am one who never buys book full price. But you know what? I paid full price plus 1-day shipping to make sure I had it for this weekend. Because you might hear it in my voice, I'm a little bit sick. So I'm basically just chilling in bed and reading. I got this like 1 day ago, and I'm on page 160, I believe. This book I am loving. If you guys don't know, Stalking Jack the Ripper is about our main character Audrey Rose, who basically examined corpse, but this book takes place in like the 1880s, so women are not really necessarily supposed to be involved in science, and it is kind of like how men perceive women in science, how she's making her way through science, and all the like forensic and the crime and the little bit of drama. I love this series so much more than I was expecting to. Definitely a good read for around Halloween, so I picked this one up, and again, probably will be in my October wrap-up, or I'll be really close to finishing it by then. So that's it for my haul. I have other unboxings as well that I'll put information cards in this video if you guys are interested to see the rest of the books I bought in October. It was a big month, but I don't plan on buying any books for November, at least not that I'm aware of right now. So happy reading, guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!